Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's program. I am Tang Jingyuan. A barrel of oil sells for $70 or $80 on the international market, but the Chinese Communist Party pays only $8. $8 US. A full tenfold difference. This is not a discount promotion. This is a meticulously designed money laundering black chain. And just last week, Trump suddenly took action. One single decision directly struck at the vital point of this chain. Hello everyone, I am Jingyuan. Welcome to Jingyuan Observes the World. In today's episode, I want to break down three things for you. First, exactly who is Trump's grand oil strategy targeting? Second, how many hundreds of billions has the CCP helped Iran launder? And what does this shadow empire actually look like? Third, why has Xi Jinping's so-called Millennium Project turned into one gigantic joke? These three matters are interlocked, and each one keeps Beijing awake at night. Stay with me. We're starting right now. First, consider this question. Iran has been under US sanctions for so many years. Who does it sell its oil to? The answer is Beijing. In 2025, how much Iranian oil does China import every day? Close to 1,400,000 barrels per day. That accounts for 90% of Iran's total oil exports. 90%. All of it sold to the CCP. What does this mean? Thanks to this oil, Iran earns $31.2 billion a year. Of that $31.2 billion, 45% goes directly into the Iranian government's fiscal budget. It finances the Revolutionary Guard, it finances Hezbollah, it finances Hamas. The real financier behind the turmoil in the Middle East is Beijing. So how much does the CCP actually pay? On the international market, a barrel of crude oil costs $70 to $80. The settlement price the CCP gives Iran is only $8 to $10 per barrel. Did you hear that clearly? $8 to $10. This is not business. This is robbery. There is one word to describe it: exploitative collusion. This is naked interest transfusion between members of the axis of evil. So here's the question. Iranian oil is under sanctions and embargoed. How does the CCP manage to smuggle it in? And how are those hundreds of billions in dirty money laundered? My friends, the water behind this runs deeper than you can imagine. Let's first talk about how the oil is shipped in. The CCP operates a fleet of vessels that the industry calls the shadow fleet. These ships have several characteristics. Let me lay them out clearly. First, they are very old. Some are over 20 years old and in terrible condition. Second, they fly foreign flags. Panama, Marshall Islands, anything except the Chinese flag. Third, and most critically, they turn off their AIS transponders. What is an AIS transponder? It's the ship's GPS positioning system that lets satellites know where you are. Once it's turned off, the ship disappears from the map. It becomes a ghost, leaving no trace. Then what happens? In the middle of the ocean, two ships quietly approach each other and conduct ship-to-ship transfers. The oil is transferred from one vessel to another, its identity changes, and it continues sailing. By the time it reaches port, the origin of this oil is no longer Iran. It has transformed into Malaysian oil, Omani oil, or Emirati oil. Clean and legitimate, it enters the port and clears customs without issue. Just before March 10th this year, 15 shadow vessels had already passed through the Strait of Hormuz. Middle Eastern oil had simply put on a Southeast Asian face. Sanctions, they became virtually meaningless. Now, how is the money paid? Of course, the CCP does not wire money directly to Iran. That would be too stupid. The US banking monitoring system would catch it in a second. Instead, they use a shadow banking network. A whole system of shell companies plus a group of small regional banks you've never heard of. Fake addresses, fake invoices, fund flows, money laundering. Large amounts of money are routed through Hong Kong. RMB is converted into other currencies or deposited into Iran's overseas accounts. Once Iran receives the money, part of it flows back to import Chinese goods, and another part is directly allocated to the Revolutionary Guard, to Hamas, and to the Houthis. Do you see it now? Beijing, Tehran, and Middle Eastern armed groups form a complete bloody funding chain, and Beijing sits at the very top of this chain, drinking cheap oil at $8 a barrel, watching the Middle East burn, and laughing with delight. This is what Xi Jinping calls peaceful diplomacy. Isn't it ironic enough? So here's the question. Has Trump seen through this chain? Not only has he seen through it, he has personally taken up the knife. First, on March 12th. The U.S. Treasury Department issued a 30-day license, allowing countries to purchase Russian crude oil and petroleum products already stranded at sea. Many people were confused. Is Trump easing sanctions? Is he helping Putin loosen the noose? Not so fast. On March 20th, the other shoe dropped. The Trump administration issued another 30-day sanctions waiver, allowing the purchase of Iranian oil already at sea. Pay attention to the design of these two orders. Already at sea. What does that imply? It means the shipments that have already departed, I will give you a pass, you may receive them. But from now on, any new transactions will be brought under full regulation. What is this called? This is pulling the rug out from under. Once Iranian and Russian oil are reconnected to the dollar-regulated system, how can those shadow fleets still exploit loopholes? What use will those Hong Kong shell companies still have? And an even more powerful move is yet to come. Trump has Venezuelan oil in hand, and the United States itself has almost inexhaustible shale oil. He has no shortage of oil at all. He can use oil as a weapon, depress prices when he wants to depress them, tighten when he wants to tighten, loosen when he wants to loosen. Taiwanese macroeconomist Wu Jialong's interpretation of this game is spot on. Trump's goal has never been just oil. Oil is the knife. What he really wants to kill is the evil triangle of China, Russia, and Iran. This triangle has three sides. China provides money and technology, Russia provides military power, and Iran provides regional disruption capability. The three countries transfuse blood to each other and prop each other up. If any one side is cut, the entire triangle collapses. Trump's choice is to cut all three sides simultaneously. By allowing Russian oil to flow again, Russia no longer needs Beijing's protection as desperately. By putting Iran under negotiation pressure, Iran will have no choice but to loosen its dependence on the CCP. And China, losing the cheap oil lifeline and losing its strategic dream of petro-yuan, will see its entire anti-American strategy lose one leg. The feeling in Beijing right now is like a self-proclaimed martial arts master who suddenly discovers that all three of his escape routes have been completely blocked. Having finished talking about the grand oil strategy, let's now turn to an even more ridiculous operation by Xi Jinping. On March 23rd, Xi Jinping, together with a large entourage, Li Qiang, Cai Qi, Ding Xuexiang, He Lifeng, made a grand inspection tour of the Xiong'an New Area. Do you still remember Xiong'an New Area? In 2017, Xi Jinping personally approved it, declaring that he wanted to build a Millennium Project, a major undertaking of the state. A millennium, 1,000 years. It was supposed to become Beijing's subcenter to make Hebei take off and to let future generations remember Xi Jinping's name. And then 9 years have passed. What is the current state of Xiong'an? Asia's largest high-speed rail station stands empty, with no one there. Commercial districts have been built, but no merchants have moved in. Universities were said to be relocating there. They shouted about it for years, but never actually moved. Trillions have been poured in, only to disappear like water poured on sand. What does Xiong'an's fiscal report card look like? By the end of 2024, Xiong'an's debt had approached 520 billion yuan. Fiscal revenue less than 10 billion yuan. Let's do a simple elementary school division. 5,200 divided by 100 equals 52 times. Debt is 52 times revenue. For a normal enterprise, a debt-to-revenue ratio of 2 times is already extremely dangerous. Xiong'an's debt is 52 times its revenue. This is not a half-finished building. This is a half-finished Millennium Project. Yet after Xi Jinping's inspection, what did he say? Major achievements have been made. Major achievements. When I saw those 4 characters, only one phrase came to mind: utter shamelessness. calling a wasteland major achievements, calling a ghost city a millennium project. This man is not unaware of the truth. He knows the truth, but he cannot admit it, because admitting it would mean admitting that Xi Jinping spent trillions to create one gigantic joke. That is a loss of face he cannot afford, so he can only continue the lies. Having covered oil and Xiong'an, the final matter, which many viewers care about most, is Taiwan. In the latest 2026 Threat Assessment Report released by the US intelligence community, there is one sentence. Xi Jinping currently has no plans to invade Taiwan in 2027. Is this good news? On the surface, yes. But what I want everyone to notice is a subtle shift that has quietly taken place. Xi Jinping's recent rhetoric toward Taiwan has quietly moved away from the previous emphasis on armed unification toward promoting unification through non-military means. He no longer talks about fighting. Is it because he really doesn't want to fight? Or because he can no longer fight? Everyone should think about this carefully. Do you remember Operation Epic Fury? The precise surgical strike that the United States and Israel jointly launched in the Middle East. The entire operation took less than half a month. Iran's nuclear facilities and military system were basically crippled. The CCP's military advisors were watching all of this from the sidelines. What did they learn? The power of precision decapitation operations is not a movie special effect. It happened right before their eyes. What if one day the target of a decapitation operation becomes Zhongnanhai? When Xi Jinping thinks about this, does he still dare to act rashly? This is the real reason he retreated from armed unification to non-military means. It is not benevolence, it is fear. It is not strategic adjustment, it is strategic collapse. Having said all this, I want to share a few heartfelt words with everyone. The failure of Xiong'an is not accidental. The money laundering chain for Iran is not isolated. The retreat on the Taiwan issue is not sudden. All of it points to the same source. A totalitarian government will inevitably head down the same path. Why did Xiong'an become a failure? Because it was not built according to market demand. It was built according to the face of the supreme leader. The leader says it is a millennium project, so subordinates pour in hundreds of billions without anyone daring to say, no one wants to live here. Why does the CCP help Iran launder money? Because it needs allies, even evil allies, even if it means bearing moral costs, even if it ultimately gets its neck squeezed by the United States. Why has Xi Jinping retreated on the Taiwan issue? Because he must first protect his own regime and his own neck. Unifying Taiwan is a slogan on the stage. Staying alive is the real need. This is the essence of totalitarian politics. Every decision serves the continuation of supreme power. The life and death of the people have never been part of the calculation. Trillions poured into Xiong'an, all gone to waste, and no one is held responsible. The Iranian oil black chain has made the Middle East even more chaotic, and no one is held accountable. Taiwan's future is treated as a bargaining chip, flipped back and forth, and no one cares. When every major decision of a country must first consider whether this makes the supreme leader look good, that country is already on the road to collapse. The only question is whether it happens sooner or later. All right, that's all for today's program. If you found today's analysis valuable, please give it a like so more people can see these hidden truths. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to Jing Yuan Observes the World Now and turn on the notification bell. Every day I will bring you the latest in-depth analysis and help you understand what is really happening in this world. I am Jing Yuan. See you next time.